Yay. Okay. We are live. So welcome to Love Speaks Love, Sarah.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure. So I'm going to share it to a few places while people are coming on. I might just see if I can tag you as well. Oh, turn my phone down.
I'm sharing here too.
Do you have a group apart from the tribe?
Yeah, I've got my tropic one, and then I've got my life mastery one, but it's a small one, but I'll share it in there too.
Wonderful. Hi everybody who's joined us, just bear with us. This is the annoying part of Facebook. Facebook Lives. All right. So I'm just going to share it. If anybody feels to share it to any groups, if you think people, you're in any groups that might resonate with this, that would be brilliant. Share it to Sology. All right, I'll do the rest in a minute. Okay. Just takes too long to do that. So for those of you that don't know me, I am Denise. I am the host of Love Speaks Love, and my wonderful guest today is Sarah Griffiths. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Hello, thank you so much. Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Sarah's been in my periphery for a good while. I don't even know how long. I don't even know when you were on with Shanine or when you were on.
Probably I'd say around 2018, late 2018, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, and then we've connected a few times this year. Sometimes, I don't think the first time was, but sometimes over the tropic skincare stuff that she is an ambassador of. Yeah, but we had a really lovely chat before all that. I think it was.
Yeah, that was incredible. And that day actually as well, what we thought we were meeting to discuss turned into so much more, didn't it? It was just incredible. Yeah, it was huge.
So while people are joining us, as you know, I usually start Love Speaks Love with a little heart-to-heart connect. And one of the reasons why I called it Love Speaks Love and why I do this heart connect in the beginning is for us to practice being in our heart spaces. And the more we're in our heart space, the easier it is to be there, and the more likely we are to, for that to just be the default. And it's really nice to connect all of our hearts together as well. So I invite us all to bring our awareness to our heart space in the center of our chest. And let us all breathe in love. And if you've had a bit of a day of it, or you might be about to have a bit of a day of it, depending where you are in the world, this is a good time to just get in your heart space, breathe love into your beautiful hearts, and breathe out anything of the day so far or the day ahead. And it's always good to make some noise if you're feeling like you're actually releasing some stuff. I think that always helps. So breathing love into our hearts and knowing that that love is going to every single cell of our bodies. And imagining that all of our cells have a little smile. So extending our heart awareness out to the heart of Gaia now. And whenever I do that, I feel myself actually in the heart of Gaia. And I feel myself enveloped in her love. And I always feel her appreciation. So knowing that Gaia is super grateful for all of us, for all that we are and all that we do. And feeling Gaia's love and her gratitude moving into every cell of our bodies. If you feel to visualize roots growing down from your feet into Gaia's heart, that's another beautiful way of connecting with her heart energy. And extending that heart awareness out now to the heart of the sun, our source of light on planet Earth. And feeling those beautiful solar frequencies, the solar love, moving into your body. And I often feel this going into my solar plexus. And from there, it radiates out to every cell. And extending that heart awareness out to the heart of Source Creator, Prime Creator. And feeling the love from Source energy moving into our bodies, into our hearts, into every cell, going deep into the DNA. And bringing our awareness back to our own hearts and feeling the beautiful heart connect that we all have here together now. Breathing as one, our hearts beating as one, in one unified field of love. And that's whether or not you're watching us live or on the replay or on YouTube. So taking another big breath in. So when you're ready, just opening your eyes. You might want to take a sip of water if you have some water handy.
What a beautiful start.
And so simple.
Yes, I was actually just thinking that. I was like, why don't I do this more to start every day or to end every day? Just, yeah.
That's a good point about the ending the day with that, because it often occurs to me, I don't always do that, but I tend to do something in the morning. But before you go to sleep, to just discharge the day.
Yeah, I really.
Go on.
No, I was just going to say, I've been doing the magic, Rhonda Byrne's magic this month, and she's got I'm sure everybody knows it, but she's got the magic rock practice, where you take a magic rock or a crystal or a rock or a stone, something that you're drawn to, and you hold it in the palm of your hand and you reflect over all the things that have happened during the day, and then pick your favorite thing and then take the energy of that into the stone and hold it in the palm of your hand and then give gratitude. And then what's lovely, I sleep with it beside my bed then, and then I wake up in the morning still in that place of gratitude for the lovely thing that has happened the day before. And it's really so simple as well, but really powerful.
That's amazing. And do you pick the stone up in the morning and just like...
Yeah. So I end the day with it and I start the day with it as well.
That's brilliant.
And it's charging it up. And then my kids my baby especially, we co-sleep, so he's there as well, and he's in the energy of it all too. It's a rose quartz that I have, so that's got special significance obviously for me as well. So it's just
that's beautiful.
Yeah.
And you kind of answered what I was going to ask. I was going to ask if you had any particular like routine that you do in the morning. And I guess mornings are a bit more tricky for you with 3 children.
A little bit, but I'm very blessed actually, because my baby is super chilled and he's a night owl like me. So we have our best fun and our best play at night time. And then my husband's much more of a organized, do, go sort of person. And me, I'm fortunate because I work from home, so I can be pretty relaxed in the mornings. So me and the baby are chilling in the mornings and having a bit of downtime when everybody else is scurrying around doing their thing. So it's still, thankfully, and that's one thing I find with having small kids, they're masters in teaching you to be in the present moment. Like they're like complete masters. So even if I want to do something, if my son wants me to be more present to something else or to spend an extra 10 minutes cuddling him because he's not ready to wake up yet, then I gotta be there because otherwise he gives me Mary Hale. Like, so it's just, and I feel very fortunate and blessed to be able to take life at his pace. And that's only thanks to my husband. So we're a good team.
How old are your kids?
5, 3, and 1.
Wow.
Yeah. It's intense, but it's beautiful.
So your girl is in the middle?
She is, yeah, and she's a firecracker. She's the feisty one. We often joke that if she'd come first, she'd be an only child because she's so intense. And so like she's me. She's the intense parts of me and my husband multiplied. Like she's just so much like, and it's so funny because even before she was even able to speak properly, she was telling me about a life that she and I had previously before, like together. And she wasn't like, obviously it was only very broken words and stuff, but we were able to piece it together. And she was telling me that she was my parent in a previous life. Wow. And how I think I'm the boss of her now, but I'm not, and she hasn't forgotten that she was here first, and I still have to do things her way and stuff. So like, okay. Yes.
That is awesome. And it's pretty common, like in countries where it's kind of accepted, like India, that there are previous lives, then it's that kind of stuff is nurtured, so it's much more likely to come out.
Yeah. I don't know. She was the catalyst for me to be open to everything, because she, like, I don't know if it's because I'm Irish. I don't know what it is, but I knew a lot, but I shut it all off. I didn't want to know. I just didn't want to be a thing. But she brought it, and she brought it in loud, like high definition. Here this is, like, and there was no, like, if she tried to communicate something and you tried to attribute it to something else, she'd be like, no, it's not that, it's this. And even the other day, like, she was standing looking out through our living room window, and she was pointing up to the sky, and she said, I can see my sister up there. She's up there and she's wearing a white, and we lost a baby before my first son was born. And she was describing to me this, like, little girl in a white dress, and she was describing her, like, precision detail, and there was no doubt in my mind she could see her. I couldn't, even though I wanted to and I was open to it, I couldn't see it. But she was describing her to me in such vivid detail that I was under no illusion that she was there. And I was just like, and I didn't tell her any of this, like, she's telling me. So it's like she made me, any doubt or any kind of whatever in my mind was just completely evaporated with her, because she's like, no, this is the way it is, and this is how it is, and I'm going to keep telling you until you're on my page. And it's just like, okay. Yeah. So
wow. Yeah, they're just so different, I think, the children coming through now.
Definitely.
And how are you boys? Have you had any of that with them?
Yeah, I mean, yes, my oldest son, he's a lot more, he's really intuitive and really emotionally intelligent. Like, he's only 5, but he's really, really emotionally intelligent. And what he has taught us very, very early on was, well, I know for me, whenever I was a child, and if I asked my parents something, they'd say, oh, you'll know that when you're older, or you don't need to know that, or don't you worry your head about that, or whatever. And a lot of stuff was very dismissed. Whereas with him, it's like, we can't fob you off, we can't lie to you, and we have to tell you, obviously within reason, but we have to give you a proper explanation, because, and that's one, and especially in the current climate, not telling them or trying to brush things away makes him more anxious and makes him more like, what are you not telling me? And the secret is worse than the truth. So it's like, he's really taught us about open communication and about being okay. And actually as well, he will call us out if we do something wrong or if we make a mistake, or if I'm a bit cranky about something and I don't give him as much time or presence as he deserves. He'll call me out in it, and he'll say, you know, Mum, you got that wrong. Or his favorite thing to say from no age was, Mum, that's just not acceptable. That's not acceptable what you've just done. It's like, okay, no, you're right, it's not. So he's really taught us the power of saying, you know, Mum and Dad get it wrong as well sometimes, and we're sorry. And so we're very open as a family with that. You know, I got that wrong, and we don't let things fester. We come and we hold our hands up and we say sorry, and we'll never let a day pass where we've been grumpy with each other and, you know, go to bed on that, and that's what he taught us, to be heart open, heart centered, and admit when you got things wrong and just start over. So that's been really powerful as well. Yeah.
And sometimes babies will see things, won't they? Like you can see that they're like tracking things.
Yeah, definitely.
In the same way that cats do. Like, you know, cats are clearly like, oh, chasing, you know, little orbs around the room.
Yes, yeah.
And I think, yeah, because they used to say, I don't know if they still do, but when I nursed, they used to say something about the children's vision that they couldn't see. Was it that they couldn't see beyond a certain, or clearly beyond a certain?
When they're born, they can only see the length of your arm, so from your elbow to your wrist. That's as far ahead of themselves as they can see. But yeah, just like that, my youngest son, even from when he was like 3 days old or something, he was having conversations with things in the corner, or people, things, whatever in the corner of the room that we couldn't see, and he was smiling and giggling away, like, and just, but thanks to my daughter, it's normal for us now. We don't, even my husband will like say, oh, who do you see, and tell her we said hello, and like he'll, you know, join in the conversation and stuff. So we want to nurture that in them and to let them know that it's all okay, and whatever you can see and whatever you believe, we're on board with that, and we want you to be the truest, fullest expression of yourself as you can, and that's my job as a parent, to help nurture that. So yeah.
And the world will be a much better place when adults still retain that magic and still are able to see things that apparently are not there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's totally it. And that's, I say, that's the best gift that my kids have taught me, because I didn't project any of this onto them. The exact opposite. They have opened my eyes and opened my heart to things that I had forgotten or not chosen not to accept, and they've opened me fully to that. So they're actually helping me to grow rather than the other way around, and I just need to be open to whatever they want to show me or teach me, or and that's, I see, is my job. Just to, yeah.
Wow. Oh, I was going to pick up on something there and it's gone. It'll come back, I think. So you're also known as Wheelie Momma.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us, I wrote this in the description, but tell us how the Wheelie Momma came about, and your life in the chair now, which didn't always used to be the way.
It was something that I fought against pretty much from the moment of birth. Well, from the moment I was born, I was fighting. I had my gloves on. I was ready for war, because my parents were told that I wouldn't live, and that if I did survive, I certainly would never walk or talk, and my quality of life would be very low. And my husband actually reminded me of this yesterday. The most talkative woman he's ever met in his entire life was never supposed to speak, and he's like, irony of ironies, I can't get you to shut up now. But yeah, so yeah, it's pretty much from day one, it was like, I'm here to prove medicine and other people's preconceived ideas wrong. So I did walk, albeit it took me 7 years to learn. I did walk, and I walked down the aisle on my wedding day. But I fought against being in a wheelchair because I didn't see myself as disabled, and I had this very rigid opinion and idea of what disability meant, and that was pretty much given up and given in and given up on life. And I didn't. That wasn't me. I was a fighter. I was going to do my own thing and I fought against it like tooth and nail for the longest time, like right up until my, I would say, early 20s. I was still adamant. I went to the worst school possible in terms of steps and things, and they couldn't put a lift in because there was so many stairs, and I was adamant that I was walking and I was doing it. I not only that, but I chose my subjects that were like at opposite ends of the school. So I was running back and forward as best I could to get to every class, with the net result that my body was slowly breaking down and my bones were really damaged. And then it was like, oh my, I was in chronic pain to the point where it was getting so bad. I was having like steroid injections in my back and stuff, but the pain was getting so bad that I was actually going to bed and thinking, I hope I don't wake up in the morning, because this pain is just so intense, and I can't, my I just can't be who I want to be in the world, and I just can't do this anymore. But obviously I did keep waking up, and then slowly through a series of I suppose awakenings, realizations, whatever you want to call them, I started to think, okay, maybe there's a reason why I'm here, maybe there's a purpose to all of this. And then I started meditating and started doing inner work, I guess. And slowly, almost as a byproduct, accidentally, I noticed, oh my goodness, I haven't been taking pain meds for a bit here. What's going on? And then I realized that it was just pure anger and resentment, and both self-loathing and anger to the world, anger to my mother, anger to my father. I was angry and bitter against everyone, and I thought nobody understood me, nobody cared, and it was me against the world. And the more I broke that down and opened my heart and realized, hold on, this has all been for a reason, the more I opened up to my true self and the less pain I was in. And then I find it ironic, actually. I've spoken several times about this. For many people who I know who have had like debilitating accidents and things, the worst case scenario, apart from death, obviously, is what if I end up in a wheelchair? But for me, it's the exact opposite. It was only when I fully accepted, okay, I'm not superhuman. My body does have limitations. And if I accept this and live my life from this vantage point, still on my terms, but if I accept that I need a bit of support in the form of some wheels, then that was really when I started to live. When I fully accepted who I was, that was when my life really began. Whereas before, I was denying a huge part of myself, and it was just causing ill health and resentment and depression and all of that. So I find it really ironic, and I always have a bit of a chuckle to myself whenever people say, oh, the worst case scenario, you can end up in a wheelchair. And I was like, yeah, hold on, that was the day I was actually born, the day that I gave in to my wheels. So that was why and then obviously I wasn't, they sort of said it wasn't a good idea for me to maybe have kids, and mightn't be necessarily the best move, but I knew in my heart that it was part of my soul's path to be a mother. So I just thought, when I was branding and saying, how am I going to share this with the world? How am I going to speak about my experiences? I thought, I'm going to go for broke here and just fully embrace who I am, which is a mum on wheels, because that's who I'm here to be, I believe, and that's where I came from.
Wow, so much in that.
Yeah.
So cerebral palsy, what's the cause of that? Is there a cause, or is it multi-level?
Yeah, well, it can be, and again, I talk about this quite candidly, and I say, if I was ever going to choose a disability or choose an illness, this would be the one. And obviously I did on some level choose it, but this would be the one that I would pick consciously or unconsciously, because no two people that have cerebral palsy are exactly the same way affected. Everyone has a different version of it, and that's like, and I say, if you're gonna have something, make it your own, customize it, and be your true self. So it definitely I've ticked that box for myself. But it's when I was born 8 weeks premature, and my mum went into labor, and they told her that she wasn't in labor, and she was like a 20-year-old first time mum, didn't have a clue, and didn't know what was happening, and they were saying, oh no, you're not in labor. But she obviously was. And then they sent her home from the hospital, and halfway down the road, my dad was like, this isn't right. And they turned around and came back to the hospital again. And I was born very shortly after arriving at the hospital. But because of all the, I guess, trauma to both her and me, I was starved of oxygen. And then that caused damage to some of my cells on one side of my brain. And then that was, so essentially the side of my brain that does like a lot of the motor functions doesn't work. So I have been training my brain, the other side, to take over the function of the side that isn't switched on. But and I'm just remembering this as I'm speaking now, actually. Whenever I had a session with a friend of mine who does hypnotherapy, and we were talking, and somehow randomly, but nothing's random, I know, in the middle of the conversation we both felt called to go into meditation. And so we were in meditation together, and I started feeling like parts of my brain on this side, and I'm not even 100% sure which side. I never asked, I never really cared to know, but I feel like it's the left hand side that is sort of dormant for me. But I could feel almost like this spark of light, and things were coming online on this side of my brain that had never, and it just happened spontaneously, just the two of us in conversation. And he said, because I said to him, like, I want to get back on my feet. I do. I'm feeling like I want to do this now. The time's right. I've embraced who I am, and I love who I am, but I feel like it's time to up level now. And he said, okay, let's play with this and see what happens. So we went in, and I've done it a couple more times, and every time I do it, it feels like something gets switched on. And I don't know, like, the neuroscience behind it or what, but I definitely feel freer in my body every time I do it, and I feel like a little bit less kind of like stiff and pain and resistance in my body every time I do it. And I know that it's only going to take one time. When the time is right, it's only going to take one more, and then that's going to be it. But I also know that if I never walk again, I'm okay with that too. I'm here for the journey and for the exploration, not necessarily for an end goal. So whatever it is, it's amazing, but I have no expectations of what it's going to be.
Wow, that's incredible. And it feels like we are in like the start, but it's already here at a time where everything we thought we knew, especially about medical stuff,
Yeah,
you can rewrite the book. There's so much. And I've watched a lot of Joe Dispenza work, and his story is amazing. And for those that don't know, he was a chiropractor who suffered a brain injury. He was run over, or certainly hit, by a truck when he was riding a bike, and was told that he would never walk again, and that he needed rods in his spine. So he thought, because of the work that he did, that he'd put his money where his mouth was, and he had to lie on his front, I think it was, not his back, for weeks on end anyway. So he may as well, while he's in that position, visualize things coming online. And he ended up not needing the surgery, and I think he actually walked out of the hospital, but if he didn't, he walked very soon after. So he kind of like showed that it could be done. And so many people that follow his work and go to his workshops have these what would be called miraculous healings. But actually, it's just showing the power. He always says the power of the mind, and I think it's much more than that. It's not just the power of the mind, it's the heart as well. Like that, there's so much to it. But the mind is an incredible, it doesn't feel right to call it an organ, but it's an incredible part of the body that, and the whole body is an incredible part of
absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. I think having had kids as well, that's something that really, because I was always thinking, oh, my body's letting me down, I'm trapped in this stupid body that doesn't work. And I hated my body, like was so abusive to my body in every way you can imagine. Just horrendous. That I spent a lot of my early childhood and teenage years out of body, did not want to know, was not interested at all. I'm out of here, this isn't happening. But actually having the kids, I really found a respect for my body, and I was like, this is a miraculous vehicle I'm in. It's growing a human without me even being consciously aware. Like, it's happening without me having to do anything. And I can actually, and that's one thing I say, I mightn't be able to do some things in my body, but I can grow gorgeous people, and that is a miracle, like, in itself. So it's given me a whole newfound respect for my body. And I think before, if I'd have gone on this quest to walk or the quest to heal, it was from a place of lack and from a place of resentment I want that and I don't have it and I'm being deprived of that. Whereas now I can hand on heart say, if I never put a foot under me again, I am living my best life, hands down my best life. And I think from that place of gratitude and joy, and wouldn't it be interesting if I could do this? But it's not the be all and end all. That feels like a much healthier place to come from to that. And if it happens, wow, what a story and what an experience. But if it doesn't, that's equally fine. You know.
Again, so much that you've said there. And the self-love, like that is absolutely huge. And most of us, there's something in our body that we don't love. And it's a huge journey, as you say, in acceptance, and how cruel we are to ourselves when we're hating ourselves, like putting all that energy into our bodies.
Totally. And even like food, we like I was one for eating, like comfort eating, and I still don't have a very loving relationship with food, and I'm good 4 days and then horrendous for 7 days, but I'm aware of it now. But I was just like abusing my body with food and like completely, and then I was like, I'm gonna be even more of a mess now after I've eaten this. And then so I was being ungrateful for the food, I was being ungrateful for my body. It was just this toxic cycle of loathing. And now I can see, when I look back, it's like, my God, how miraculous is my body that I put up with that abuse, and it still kept going. Like, because if somebody was treating me like that, another person, I'd be like, see, I'm not having this. But my body still stuck by me even through all that. So every day, and that's when you talked about morning routine, that's one of the first things I do. When I put my feet on the ground to get out of bed and go to the bathroom, I give gratitude for my feet and give gratitude for the fact that I get to breathe another day. And that is a very powerful start to the day, because then when you're looking through at everything in your life, and even if I've got creaks and pains and a bit of stiffness, I remember, and I give gratitude for the memory, because I remember that pain and way worse, like chronic, magnified by 1,000, was my every minute of every day before. And now it's only a fleeting memory of how far I've come. So I give gratitude for that, and it reminds me how far I've come. And then you go through the day with a much more grateful heart from that place than before.
There was a beautiful thing I watched yesterday. It's a Scottish doctor, and I can never remember his name. No, won't come. And he's talking about kindness, and how, like, so many of his videos are about kindness, how kindness is good for so many things in your body. You know, it's better than Botox, because kindness actually makes you look younger. And he talks about the telomeres, how they've actually done studies that show that when you're kind, your telomeres are not breaking down. Like, the kindness is way beyond. I can't remember all the other things that he mentioned, but kindness was top of the list. Either being kind to yourself or kind to others is really good for your own body. And yeah, you're actually not aging while you're being kind.
Amazing, absolutely amazing. And that, I mean, that's something. And again, my husband reckons he's not awake. He's not, like, he calls it all mumbo jumbo or hippy dippy stuff, but he is so awake and so aware, like way more than he would ever admit. But he'll say to me, if I say to him, well, that wasn't very kind, or that wasn't, something he does or doesn't do to me, and he's like, yeah, but what have you just done to yourself? And he'll say, I'm only reflecting back to you how you're disrespecting yourself. So you sort your own life out and then come and tell me. And he's so right, like, because all our relationships are a mirror of what we're holding ourselves. So if we're not being fully loving and accepting of ourselves, then we're going to find resentment and resistance in a partner or in a child, or so that's the family, and especially the lockdowns and being working from home now all the time. It's like a magnification of all the things that I would run away from all of my life, all here, all now, and we have to deal with it. So it's it's the best therapy I've ever been through, because you just have to sort things out in the moment, because otherwise it just gets unmanageable with 5 people and 5 hearts and 5 opinions to contend with. It's just too much if you don't deal with it there and then.
And that was one of the things I was going to say before, like, you know, with the eating, it's not even so much what we're eating, but it's the energy that we have with it. Like, oh, this is going to really, you know, this is going to blah, blah, whatever negative thing it is.
Yeah.
And also, can we love ourselves through those times and forgive ourselves for, like, you know, the patterns that we're still working through?
Yeah, totally. And that's, I mean, I do firmly believe that, because like when you're eating something, and I found this through all my pregnancies and everything, like when you're eating something saying this is nourishing me and this is growing my babies and this is allowing me to produce milk to feed my babies, and giving gratitude for it. Or if you're eating a cake and going, oh, this is going to break me out in spots and I'm not going to be able to get into my jeans, and then that's whatever you're telling it as it's going down, that's what it's going to do for you, because it doesn't, you know. And so I do try, as you know, as much as I can, to give gratitude for every piece of food that I'm eating now, and my body is in a much better place and state for that. And even though I'm probably, there's more of me than I would like right now, I'm still smaller than I was pre any of my pregnancies, because I was in such a horrible state of depression, and just so like my food and my body was responding to what I was telling it. So I was twice the size I am now, and in a way worse mental state and emotional state than I am like 10 years later and 3 pregnancies later, you know. So it definitely, I'm living proof that what we tell our bodies is how it responds.
Have you ever, just going back to what you said about the trauma of your birth, because there's a lot of in the womb trauma for a lot of people. Have you ever gone back to that time? Have you ever?
Not really. I mean, I did revisit it slightly, because I'm writing my autobiography at the moment, so I did revisit it slightly. But I think, and I was actually speaking to a dear friend about this yesterday as well, if you'd asked me 2 years ago, or even more, what's your earliest memory, I literally would say to you, I can't remember anything past 15 years ago. I can't go back any further. And I do think it's like my cellular memory and the trauma where my brain has like shut off these certain. And I'm not saying that I had any horrible, like, compared to what some people go through in terms of trauma and stuff, nothing like that. But I do think there was the residual memory of my birth and my body and the pain and everything. So my body had shut off all those, and my mind had shut off all of that. It's like, you don't need to go there right now. And I slowly, certain things happen and it unlocks a little bit, and then I'll go back and I'll say, okay, so that happened, and then my body, every time I hear that sound now, that smell, my body responds in this way, and I try to unpick it piece by piece. But I've not felt the need to, or maybe I suppose being strong enough to go back fully yet. But I know at some point I will need to, because I think there lies the key to bring everything online, if you know what I mean. And I just think now is not the time to go there yet, but I'll know when the time is right, or I'll meet the person who can accompany me back, and we can do it together. And I just haven't, they're not here yet, you know. So.
All in divine timing.
Yeah, exactly.
It'll just appear, and you'll be like, oh, I'm ready to do that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
There was something that dropped in for me recently, because when we talk about, it always used to be fight flight. We never even used to have the word freeze in there as an actual reaction to, you know, to whatever's going on around us. And it struck me, because I'm more of a freeze person than a fight or a flight. I'm a rabbit in the headlights kind of person.
Yeah.
And it struck me that when fight, because all this energy builds up in our body, and if you fight, you release that energy. If you flight, you release that energy. But if you freeze, that energy is still all inside you.
Yeah.
And that only just really has kind of hit home recently. And I think, then it turns in on itself. It has nowhere
Completely.
else to go other
Yeah.
than inside.
Yeah, completely. I'm a freeze person as well. In certain situations, I would be a fight person in certain situations, but in the real like shaky moments when the real stuff happens, I'm a freeze for sure. And that was really brought home to me whenever my last son was born, because he had respiratory issues when he was born, and he was taken away from me to ICU. And I was just, and plus my own, I didn't realize how ill I was myself when he was born, but my husband since told me that they were worried they were going to lose me as well as him. And he has got a lot of still trauma from that. He was like, I was worried I was going to be walking out of the hospital here with no wife and no child, like what, and I suppose I was putting all my energy into getting well without being consciously aware, and also then getting my son through it all. But it's only now that I'm really and he's a year old. It's only now that I'm really realizing that all of that sadness, all of that fear is in me. It was internalized, and I can be doing something completely mundane, like completely normal, or hear a song on the radio or see something on TV, and I just burst into tears, and that's me releasing the stuck energy. And I know, and God bless my husband, he just lets me cry, because he used to, when we first got together and stuff, and if I was crying or something, he'd be like, oh, what's wrong, and he'd be trying to fix it. Now he knows that's just my expression and my release, so he just lets me do it. And the kids will even say to me, are these happy tears or sad tears, mummy? And as long as I say happy tears, or I say I'm sad, but this is why I'm sad, and I'll be okay in a minute, and it's just seeing me cry and them all cry, and it's perfectly normal part of our release now. And you definitely need to, because otherwise, like, I would have stomach issues, I would have, any trauma or stuck energy that I'm holding that's detrimental to me, I'd get digestion issues, and like heartburn, and like neck pain and all that there. So I have to release it, and that's, but it comes in big events like that, like my son's birth. I have to do it in sort of bite-sized chunks. I can't let it all go at once. But it comes up, and I just let it flow and just get rid of it piece by piece.
Yeah, beautiful. I'm just having a little look at the comments, because I just realized that I haven't been looking. Dr. Delaney has put fright, fight, flight, feed, freeze, and fornicate.
I see, there you go. You can always rely on, yeah, good man, Dr. Joe. Good man.
6 Fs.
Yeah.
So speaking of Fs, something that I've been inquiring about with guests, and I think we talked about this when we spoke that first time. So I'm intrigued by how people feel about the world of the Fae, and whether they interact with the world of the Fae, and some things that people say. I'm going to take clips and make a little. I feel I'm probably going to make a little video of not just stuff that I feel about Fae, but actually bring other people into it as well. And I've been researching this a little bit on YouTube, and something that I've discovered is, because in my mind, the Fae are very alive still, especially in Ireland, like over here as well, but especially in Ireland. But what I'm learning is that there's a lot of fear attached to the Fae, which I think is like, for me, they're quite misrepresented over there, maybe even more so than here. Like there's a lot of fear attached to it. And I wonder actually if the Fae didn't put this out there so that they would be left alone a little bit as well, while we were so like not in a space to interact with them, and very disrespectful of them, whether they just thought, actually, we'll put all these stories out, just to like keep them at arm's length.
Yeah, could well be. again, and I think you often say that one of the things that you most remember was me saying, no, don't believe in any of it, no. And that's like, but again, my daughter has swept all that away from me, and she's like, and she definitely has like that. She's very multidimensional. She can like light language, like just her eyes are so expressive, like definitely ET vibe going on there, like, and she's really, really expressive, really assertive without ever having to speak. Like she didn't speak a word until she was well over one. She never spoke one word. She didn't need to. We all knew exactly what she wanted and exactly what she needed. We were under no illusions what it was. And she definitely has that. And like again, she would tell you, like, I'm a fairy, I'm a unicorn, and I fully believe that she has all those elements and is fully okay with embracing and combining all of those elements of who she is. So again, I've had to get up to speed with all of it, because she's just like, yeah, this is who I am. And this is, you gotta accept this, and I don't think I would have no fear whatsoever. To me, it's like it's a playful and mischievous energy, and again, that's her personified. She is mischievous. She is playful. She is magical. Like completely believes in magic, and it's just, to me, she is the personification of what the Fae energy is. So I have absolutely no doubt and absolutely no fear, because if I can coexist beautifully with my mischievous daughter, then the Fae are more than welcome. It's just absolutely, yeah.
And I feel we're all moving into that space where the messages from the trees, the rocks, the waters, the birds, it's getting so loud.
Mm-hmm.
When I was walking back, I'd been for a walk in nature, so I was probably very, very in that space of being at one with nature.
Yeah.
And as I walked into there's like a garden to walk through to get to the back of my garden, and it's quite narrow. And there were two blackbirds, a male and female blackbird, just a couple of feet away from me. And they were fallen apples on the ground, which hadn't actually rotten. And they were kind of eating from that. And I didn't want to disturb them, because so I just stood and watched them for a bit. And then one jumped on the fence and just looked, it was so close to me, just looked straight at me.
Yeah.
I didn't actually pick a message up from, it was the male blackbird. But the female was pretty much doing the same thing as well. And they just really seemed to be wanting to communicate with us. And I feel the fairies are the same. It's kind of like, oh, finally, you lot, like we've been waiting, thousands of years for you lot to catch up. But finally, we're starting to, and I just feel, the trees especially, it's like they're shouting at us. So even just ordinary Joe Bloggs walking down the street is going to be like,
exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's it. And you just reminded me about the trees. It was something that I had completely forgotten. But when my oldest, who's like 5, when he was like maybe 2, 3, he would be driving along and he's like, "Oh, stop the car! So I can stop the car. This tree wants to say something to me." And my husband was like, "What? What?" And then I'd be like, "Just say hello. The tree just wants to say," and he'd be like, "Hello, Mr. Tree," and he was talking away, having a conversation with the tree. Like, and again, so that's, and if kids can hear it and respond, like, why? Of course we can if we choose to. Definitely.
Oh, we have so much to learn, don't we?
Yeah. Well, it's not, I don't even think learn. I think it's just a case of remember.
Yeah.
But I do think that's one thing, and I know this is probably quite a controversial statement, but the events of the last 2 years, I think, I like to call it the great leveler, because people who had so much identity and so much status and so much, like, they were certain of who they were and what they were, and all that was stripped away in a nanosecond, like, it's gone. And so people are like, okay, so everything I believed I was, everything I believed about life and about people and about society and structure and safety and all, has just been stripped away. So I have to rediscover what this whole game of life is all about. And so we're almost all the things that we held so rigidly to are no longer there or no longer sustainable or trustworthy or whatever. So it's like, well, if this isn't real, and I believe that so strongly, then who knows what else is out there to be discovered. And that's a beautiful thing that has come out of all of this, because everybody's much more open, and conversations are getting much more heart-centered and much more like, there's a much more intuitive connection happening with people, I think, now. And things, there's not as much, there's more real conversation, I guess. There's not as much like niceties or you know, that is getting straight to the heart of the matter much more with people when we talk, and it's so much nicer to have a conversation now. It just, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you mentioned earlier about the things that we put into our body, and also the things that we put onto our body, because everything can get absorbed into our skin from our body. And that occurred to me first when I was in Australia. My shower water used to just go into the forest, and I had a little garden. I lived in a canvas cabin at the time, and I had like a drop toilet, and you know, like I say, my shower water just went into the forest. And so I wanted to start using that water to water my garden. So I changed the shampoo that I was using, because it was going onto the things that I was ingesting. And then it dropped in. It was like, hang on a minute, that was going into my body before. It's not just that I'm eating things.
Eating it, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And this year, I've even changed my deodorant this year. I didn't intend to do this, but suddenly one day I think maybe I started getting adverts for it on old Facey, for different, you know, more natural deodorants. I'd tried in the past. I'd tried like to get like a salt deodorant, but it just didn't really work with me. But the deodorant that I've used for like maybe 40 years now, I've suddenly changed it. I've used the same one, like a strong one, for so long, and now I've got a completely natural one, which is an antiperspirant as well. So it works on. I didn't want to just get something that, you know, I'd be sweaty Betty, but it just didn't smell. So tell us a little bit about your ambassadorship for
well, like that, it's just, again, I'm a very intuitive person, and with eating and stuff, I'm an intuitive eater, and for the last, I suppose, 3 years, my body just will not tolerate meat at all. I just can't do meat at all. And even dairy, like I wouldn't say I'm vegan at all, because I still love my fish, but dairy, it doesn't agree with me either. But like that, whenever I started, when I was pregnant and stuff, I pretty much had a realization, the same as you, going, it's all very well trying to eat better and things, but what are you putting onto your skin? And like that, we're porous, you know, everything that we do, everything that is getting in there. And I really wanted to, for this is what I wanted to give them the best start in terms of toxic burden and all of that. So and then a friend, I was looking at myself, ironically enough, I was doing a video for one of my my modules in my coaching program, and it was about self-care and how important it is to love your body and, you know, nurture your body and be mindful of that. And I was looking at my skin, and I was like, oh my God, like, your skin is dry, you're not sleeping properly, you just look dehydrated, you're such a hypocrite sitting here talking to camera and look at you. So I made a pact with the universe that I would start a proper, like, caring for my body, like practical care, like the meditation and stuff, all fine and well, but you actually need to nurture your body from the outside as well. So I made a pact with the universe that I would do that. And then lo and behold, the universe answered, and a friend of mine said that she just started doing tropic skincare. And I said, because I've promised that I would do this, and it's completely derived from, well, Susie, who the founder, she lived in Australia as well, so there's a nice link there. And her grandmother was a biochemist, and she taught her that you should never put anything onto your body that you wouldn't eat, just like exactly what you said. And she taught her how to make all these natural products using products from the tropics. So like you've got your lemon myrtle and your all, you know, naturally sourced sustainably sourced ingredients. And Susie, as a 16-year-old, 15-year-old girl, started making these products, and then she came over to the UK. And long story short, that is where Tropic came from, and everything I can use on my babies. If my son decides to eat some shower gel, it's totally fine because it's not going to do him any harm. And yeah, and I just, and then there's massive charity partnerships, and all in all, it's just making the world and the planet a much nicer place. Every purchase provides education as well, so it ticks all the boxes for me, and I'm just so grateful that I found it, and it's connected me with more beautiful people like yourself. So yeah,
yes, I love their products. It's and I have to say, and this is not just an advert here, this is actually true, but my skin has definitely improved. Like, I used to have, a lot of kind of open pores and stuff, and blackheads. Not really so much anymore.
So good, yeah. I mean, and sometimes I like to test myself every so often, because I love using stuff, but I will never promote something or be involved with anything that I don't fully believe in. So every so often I'll fall off the wagon for a few days just to test myself. And whenever I go back on it, like different, I'll always take a picture of after I've been off for a few days, and then when I go back and start doing it again, and it's like night and day, the difference, like it really is. And even you feel so much better, because that's kind of my 5 minutes of meditation every day when I'm doing my little routine, and that's my me time, which is so crucial. And as a mum to very small kids, that can be really hard to find, but if I can lock myself in the bathroom for those couple of minutes, it makes a massive difference to my mind and body for the whole day. So it's crucial for me. And then I can call it research because it's business as well. So it's like technically I'm working, but so it works well.
Yeah, and absolutely on the self-love as well. It's the self-nurturing, isn't it? It's like, this smells amazing. I haven't tried it yet, but maybe I will. Zana is asking, I'm pretty sure the answer is yes to this, but are you able to send it to the US?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I also do, as you know, I do free consultations as well. So anybody wants to help with finding a routine that works for you, I'm more than happy to chat to anybody.
And it feels like a very transparent company. It's not like, because the multi-level marketing, you can buy it straight from the people. It's not like you have to go through somebody that's selling it.
Yeah, no, you can. And everything, there's a happiness guarantee. We've just been Cosmos certified as well, which is, anybody who knows about Cosmos, it's like the gold standard for environmentally sustainable and environmentally kind practices in business. And it's the most stringent process. Even the water, everything stringently checked, and they got top marks from Cosmos certification. So it's everything they do. The kind of the motto the purpose is to a healthier, greener, more empowered world. And literally everything they do, if it's not creating a healthier, greener, more empowered world, they won't do it. That simple. It's the most heart-centered, conscious company I've ever seen. Yeah.
And they plant trees for things as well, don't they? I bought some gift sets at Christmas for gifts, and because of that, 3 trees were planted.
Exactly, yeah, with the Eden Reforestation Project, and there's things for the Amazon rainforest. There's lots of different partnerships for lots of things. We're building schools as well in Cambodia and Madagascar, and also there's been a home built in South Africa with the Winnie Mabaso Foundation for girls who were orphaned as well. So it's making the world a better place by you just indulging in self-care. You're literally changing the world for so many people. It's mind-blowing, and I'm so grateful to be part of it.
And there seems to be like a genuine, it's not just doing it to look good either. You can feel that in companies when they're kind of, giving some of their profits away for that. But it feels a genuine, doing it kind of for the right reasons.
It totally is. And that, I mean, Susie herself came from a very impoverished background where they had to like fight for every penny. And that's actually how she even started, because her mum didn't have enough money to pay the bills when they came over to the UK. And she started making the body scrub to help her mum. So she knows what it feels like to have nothing. And she doesn't want anybody to miss out on her watch. You know, she wants to leave the world a better place than when she arrived. And I really feel very strongly that she is doing that with everything she does and everything she is. So yeah, it's
And this is
huge.
the way forward for companies. My friend Kathy Mason from Conscious Business Zone talks about managers who are, what does she call them, like servant managers. I don't really like that word, but the implication of it is that they are there to serve their employees, not the other way around. Not the employees there to serve the managers and serve the companies.
Yeah, I think, and that's something that I feel very passionately about. Anybody who comes from and does what, shares their gifts and their knowledge and their expertise and abilities from a place of how can I make the world a better place with what I know, with what I've experienced, of course it's going to be a better world. And if we all did what we are good at, or shared our wisdom in that way, then everybody would be happier. Everybody would feel purposeful and useful and valued and valuable. And how much better would the world be all around if we all recognized our own abilities and pooled our resources together to make everyone's life better? How much better would the world be? And that, I feel like Tropic is a window into what's possible, and the whole world should operate like that.
You mentioned, we're over time. I hope you're all right for time. I've just got one more question. So you mentioned your module before, that you were filming for a module. So that's coaching that you do as well?
Yes, I do intuitive coaching. I've created an online course that you can do. It's just videos, and you can go in and do it. Like it's like self-paced learning, and it's really just me, the key building blocks that and the discoveries sort of that I made along the way, and the things that really made a difference to me and unlocked my heart to me and my true self to me. I've done a module for each thing. So I've got one on gratitude, one on self-love, one on meditation. There's lots of inner child stuff. I've got lots of things, and that's online, that's there. But what I really love, and where I get my buzz, is my intuitive work, where I do my intuitive readings and my intuitive empowerment coaching. That's where I get my real buzz, and that's where I kind of I feel like I step aside. I make the heart connection with somebody, and then I step aside and I just let whatever needs to come, and that's my favorite thing to do, because with the coaching is great, but I'm not really fully present unless the person needs me to be there for some reason. But they do that on their own, and unless they come back and tell me that was amazing, which they do, but I just don't get the same. But I love connecting with people, and I love that one-to-one connection, and I get that most through my intuitive work. So,
do you use Shelling's cards mainly?
Yes, mainly I do. Yeah, yeah, they're a game changer for me. They really were, because I was friendly with her, and we had lots and lots of conversations, and then she managed to find a deck for me, because they were hard to find, and she found some for me, and then she sent them over, and from that day on, I feel like my intuition just came online even more, like with the love from her cards. And then anytime, because I've recently started doing a lot more again, but when I was pregnant and stuff, and I wasn't doing so much. And then I was kind of nervous when I was going back to it, and I had no real intentions of going back, but like everything in the universe point you in the right direction. And somebody asked me, "Oh, I need you to do a session with me." And I was like, "Oh, not really doing it at the minute," but everything was screaming, "You need to do this." And then I kind of asked Sherilyn to support me through this. And when you talk about Faye energy, she is the Faye, like she really is. And that was one of the first things that when she passed over, she came to me with her full-on fairy wings. Like, so again, there was no doubt in my mind, like, and she actually said to me, like, "Oh, you thought this wasn't real? Of course it's real. Look at your daughter." And she pointed me to all the the clues in my daughter that were of faith, you know, and so yeah, and anytime when I kind of have a wobble or I doubt what I'm receiving, I call her in to help me, and she's always there. She's
So feel her here now. I
yeah,
kind of got a
totally.
glimpse of it kind of behind you.
Yeah,
on that side, kind of like this.
yeah. She does.
Yeah.
I get a certain like a wee temperature change and a wee subtle just flutter, and I know she's here. So, yeah, it's lovely.
We could talk and talk and talk for hours. You'll have to come back on sometime. That would be
sure
awesome.
will. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure. And thank you everybody. Thank you everybody who's been with us on the call and who watches this on YouTube as well. And if you like this chat and you want more of them, I've got how many? I think you might be either 109 or 110 of these chats on there's a Love Speaks Love playlist, and my YouTube channel is Inner Peace with Denise. And I would love if you join me there and subscribe and like the videos and all that jazz. Do you have a YouTube at all? Is there anything else?
I have a YouTube channel, but I don't do anything on it, and that's another nudge that I need to do that. So I will. I've got lots of content on my Facebook page though. Lots of video content on there.
Awesome.
Wheelie Momma.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you again, Sarah, and we will chat soon, no doubt. Yeah. I'm going to just stop the live and the recording. Love, everybody. Thank you.